And the libertarian philosophy can be summed up with the old adage, the government that governs best governs least. In this election, voters will face a stark choice. A choice between more politics as usual, more of the same, of ever-expanding government, or the alternative, to actually reduce the size of government. Now, many of you may know I'm focusing my campaign message on protecting the Second Amendment and ending the state income tax. These issues provide us with clear examples of not only the difference between a libertarian like me and a big government Republican like my opponent, but some very real examples of where we can not only stop the growth of government, but actually reduce its size. In the previous legislative session, there was talks about ending the state income tax. And this isn't a radical idea either. Our neighbor to the west, Tennessee, doesn't have an income tax, as do 8 other states: Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, Wyoming, and New Hampshire all don't have a state income tax. And these states without a personal income tax have experienced more growth with their gross state products outpacing the national average by more than 40%. The evidence is also overwhelming that having no state income tax creates more jobs. Allowing people to keep their own money and reinvest into our community is a net benefit for everyone. Abolishing the state income tax is a very reasonable goal. And I would be happy to work with conservatives, real conservatives, to eliminate it. Now, if this cannot be achieved, I will vote against every tax increase. Woohoo! This state doesn't have a revenue problem. Like so many other states, it has a spending problem. Raising taxes will hurt our economy, and I pledge to vote against every tax increase. Now, my opponent, on the other hand, has no problem with taxes. Just weeks ago, he decided to tax live events, like the state fair, concerts. So next time you go to enjoy the rides and some funnel cake and some cotton candy, North Carolina is going to be putting its greedy little hands in your pocket. Another area where we can begin to hack at the branches of government is in defending the Second Amendment. I'm an unabashed supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm a veteran, as my wife said, of the Army and served tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan, where I carried a rifle on my back every day. While I was serving, it became painfully obvious the dangers of leaving a people defenseless against radical, violent groups like Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Thomas Jefferson said it best when he said this: "The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are laws of such a nature. They disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man." And this is evident in places like Chicago, which has some of the strictest gun control laws in the nation. Yet over 500 people are murdered every year. That's 2 people a day after day after year after year. Now, my opponent does not share my zeal in defending our natural right of self-defense. He was given a grade of 0%. 0% by Grassroots North Carolina. This organization dedicated to defending the Second Amendment has called my opponent, and these are their words, and I quote, "one of the 3 weasels of the North Carolina House." The NRA in 2010 gave him a grade of 54%. Now, I don't care where you go to school. 54% is an F. He supported legislation to prevent you from keeping a firearm in your car while you're at work. And he voted to make it a felony to have a gun in your car while your child's at school. Not only will I fight this kind of nonsense, but I say we fight back. We need to eliminate the requirement of pistol permits. This is a redundant bureaucracy since we already have federal background checks. It also increases the workload of our local sheriffs. who frankly have better things to do. Now these two issues, I feel, is where I can promote liberty the best in the General Assembly. They are certainly not the only places where we have a chance to reduce the size of government. Vehicle inspections is another obvious area where we can cut government. 3 of our 4 neighbors don't have vehicle inspection: Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina. And I've lived in 2 of those states. In fact, North Carolina is one of just 18 states that have a vehicle inspections. There is no difference in the cars in these states. People want to drive safe cars. The vehicle inspection is nothing more than needless bureaucracy that hurts the poor the most. In 2013, a bill was introduced to eliminate the vehicle inspection, which was sent to committee where it sits to this day. We need to pressure our legislatures to reintroduce this bill. Or you could vote for me. Another area where I'm optimistic is hemp. Our beloved Constitution is printed on hemp paper. Hemp was once a major agricultural product of the United States. In fact, the American colonies were compelled to grow hemp by the Crown, and it was grown here until 1937. Hemp is truly an amazing plant, which can be used to make things like clothes, rope, paper. And up in Asheville, there's actually a house made out of a new product called hempcrete. Why aren't we growing this here? It just makes too much sense. Almost every other industrialized nation grows hemp, including Canada, Australia, Russia, and the United Kingdom. Colorado also recently planted the first hemp crop in the United States in over 60 years. This would fit perfectly into the crop rotation, replacing tobacco after the decline of that industry. And we owe it to our farmers to bring this crop here in North Carolina soils. And to be clear, you can't get high on hemp. You would have to smoke a joint the size of a telephone pole to get high. And good luck with that. I would be honored to work with both Democrats and Republicans to bring this amazing plan here. Now, I mentioned getting high, so it seems I have to discuss marijuana. Before I go any further, you need to know that this is a personal issue to me. I already told you that I served in the military for 7 years. What I didn't tell you is I was discharged for smoking marijuana. I accept what has happened. I don't blame the Army, but I don't think our marijuana policies benefited either me or the Army. The Army lost a decorated veteran of 2 conflicts in a highly needed field. I was left dealing with the consequences, not of marijuana use, but of marijuana prohibition. Now, North Carolina has already decriminalized marijuana, but simply put, this isn't enough. The very least we can do as a state is to allow medical marijuana. Now, this wouldn't have changed my position at all. But it would help countless of sick people deal with illnesses like cancer, epilepsy, and AIDS, glaucoma. Marijuana has also been found to help veterans deal with the horrors of war and PTSD. We owe it to these people to bring medical marijuana here. 23 states, nearly half of all the states, already allow medical marijuana. Allowing patients to get their needed medicine from a doctor instead of a drug cartel is a practical solution. I think I've painted a very clear picture of the difference voters can make, will face in November. I ask each of you to get involved, however you can. Call your representative, speaking on these issues. We can make a difference here. Like Wendy said, we can do this. For those of you that can, I hope you choose to vote. Vote for less government. Vote Libertarian. Vote Shelby Mood.